Hazbin Hotel, despite its flaws, has so many engaging characters. Almost every character just grabs me and is someone so fun, leaving me wanting more and making the limited time we have with these characters still somehow work. There's just something about the characters in the show that even though no one has a complete character arc, still makes them so fun to watch. And today, let's figure out exactly how Hazbin Hotel makes such great characters. Alastor, Angel, Vox, Lucifer, Cherri Bomb, Emily, and even Elvit are some of the fan favorite characters, even though in reality, besides Angel and maybe Lucifer, we don't see too many of them in the show. Helva Boss, Vizzy Pop's other show, while having some great characters, isn't filled with the heavy hitters as inside of Hazbin. We can say it's down to the access to higher caliber voice actors, which might be part of it, but it is far from the whole reason. I think the big strength of Hazbin Hotel is the music, because again, Helva has it, but here it's just banger after banger. I mean, the past 3 weeks I've just been listening to Hazbin Hotel songs day in, day out, without break, and they're just so great. And every character I mentioned is featured in some sort of song. Technically, Cherri isn't in a song from the show, but she is an addict, so I'm counting that since it is the most viewed video on the Vizzy Pop channel, far surpassing even the pilot. When a character gets their own song, it is really the best way for us to learn anything about the characters in the show, since there isn't space for a normal plot. Camilla Carmine, for example, we don't really see her in the show that much, but she gets 3 songs, and so even her lack of presence is made up for because we feel like we know the character really well, and if the song is good especially, even better, because I'll instantly like that character because I'm listening to them all the time. I didn't pay any attention to Velvet until I started listening to Respectless day in and day out, and now just because of that one song, she's one of my favorite characters in the whole show. Another aspect which really endears me to these characters is their uniqueness. The cast of characters is so fun and wacky, and everyone has some defining trait which just makes them so lovable and easy to enjoy. Sir Pentious is this weirdo who thinks everyone is his anime arch enemy. Adam is a person who has been in heaven from the start, so he gets away with everything and he just sucks up a little bit. Emily is the one from heaven who gets off the high horse and is actually kind, while everyone else is just varying levels of cold. Alastor, the radio demon who practices voodoo and speaks in this modulated radio voice. Then there's Vox, the propaganda-speaking news anchor. Each character has just one element which makes them so recognizable just by description alone, and makes each of them also unique and exciting to see interact. The interaction makes everything so much more fun. To see people so vastly different coexist and need to face each other is something which is so cool. There is a reason that Hell's Greatest Dad is the fan favorite song from Hazbin, along with Stayed Gone and my favorite, Respectless. It's 2 vastly different characters in each song, basically just getting into a rap battle, which is so cool. We get so many good lines, so many good interactions, and we learn so much about the characters from the actions. Even the new song, Out for Love, great song. Even just small moments of people talking together are so fun. We learn so much about Alastor on his brief walk with Zestial to the Overlord Council meeting in episode 3. By what he says and how everyone reacts, it tells us so much about the character, about how powerful Alastor is, how famous he was, and how powerful Zestial is, even though we later know how old he is. It tells us a lot about them. On the opening of episode 2, where we are introduced to the V's, or even their reactions to watching the battle in the end of the show, which a great scene. I always love flashing back to Vox. These moments are really what makes the show what it is. Another thing which makes the show so fun is how deeply flawed the majority of the characters are. All the main characters are sinners, they are horrible people, and the show is about those who want to redeem, but also those who don't want a redemption at all. Now, while I do have an issue with how quickly certain characters get redeemed, each one is still so fun at many stages of their journey. Angel is actually a character who gets more enjoyable as his arc goes on, simply because he is a lot more open with everyone else, so we get to know him more, where at the beginning he was very closed off. Another example might be Cherri Bomb. By the end of the show, it's clear that she's starting on the path for redemption, but her flaws are not what makes her so fun. She's someone who's always on to avoid facing trauma, not coping with one addiction, but just an everlasting party to cope. It is also fun to see the hierarchies of these characters because that makes them so fun to watch. Alastor is always trying to one-up whoever he's with. For most characters in the hotel, it doesn't get out of hand because they're not so egotistical, but when he faces someone else worried about either their reputation or their power, we get a situation like Stayed Gone or Hell's Greatest Dad. The funniest part of Hell's Greatest Dad is just how out of nowhere Alastor being a father figure came from. On my first viewing, I thought it was just bad writing, but now it's just clearly that Alastor is just trying to piss off Lucifer, and that's the best way he knows how, and that makes it so funny. I really love Carmilla and Baggy, the student-teacher relationship we saw out of them in episode 7. It sort of came out of nowhere, like a lot of things in the show, but it was still fun and works. Or Adam and Lute as another example. They just have such a great bond, and it's so fun to see them interact. The show is clearly carried by these characters. Even Charlie and Lucifer, a daddy's issues relationship, which has been seen far too often in the Helliverse, still works so well, and they have great chemistry together. Seeing Lucifer get anxious as Charlie calls, or when finding out that Charlie likes girls, it's a dynamic which works so well. Finally, the last thing that makes the characters in Hazbin Hotel so compelling is all about balance. But before I get to that, if you have enjoyed this video, please do me a favor and hit the subscribe button. I'm getting close to monetization, so every subscriber helps. Thanks, but let's keep going. Hazbin Hotel has been all over the place in Season 1. It can have a hard time balancing comedy and narrative, and with pacing, but one aspect which has just been great from the start are the characters. Outside of one bad character with Mimsy, I honestly have nothing to complain about when it comes to characters, and that constant satisfaction episode to episode really makes the characters stand above every other element in the show because they're just fun. I can enjoy spending time with them, where even some of the super serious dark characters in other show, which are written perfectly, just aren't as fun to watch. We have poorly paced arcs where we can see too much change from a character in between episodes, but that doesn't stop the characters from being just as enjoyable in each episode. The characters overall are so fun. While they aren't the most developed characters you can get in an animated show, they stand up with the greats as far as enjoyability is concerned, like Doofenshmirtz, Bill Cipher, and Hootie. But, as I have said, Hazbin Hotel is a flawed show. But I don't blame the cast and crew, for the majority of it at least. To see why, make sure to check out this video.